Hello everyone, it's Devins back again. Today, we'll dive into a brilliant study by Vladislav Rogozin, composed almost a century ago. In this position, both of our pieces are under pressure. To be precise, our rook is guarded by the knight. But here's the problem. If the knight moves, black immediately takes the rook, and if it stays, black is ready to capture the knight next. So the real question is, how can white possibly turn this around and still win? Take a moment, pause the video if you like, and try to work it out for yourself. Good luck! Did you find a solution? Feel free to share your ideas in the comments. Now, let's see how victory can actually be achieved. But before we jump in, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel, Chess with Devins, especially if you enjoy deep endgame puzzles like this one. Alright, let's begin. Naturally, we'd like to reposition the rook, farther from the opponent's king, while still keeping pressure on the black bishop. But what's the correct way to do that? There are plenty of tempting moves. Let's first look at rook to c6. The rook steps away from the king, and if black ignores it, we follow up with knight to g6. That keeps the knight safe under rook protection, leaving us with rook and knight versus bishop, a winning setup. And if black tries to grab the knight right away, their king and bishop end up lined up on the same rank. Then rook to c8 delivers a deadly double attack, and the game is ours. Sounds great, right? Unfortunately, rook to c6 has a hidden weakness. If we rewind one move, we notice black doesn't have to capture the knight immediately. Instead, black plays bishop to g3 check. Once our king steps aside, the knight falls safely, and our fork idea disappears. Rook to c8 no longer works, since the bishop is already out of danger. We can even try rook to h6 check, hoping the king goes back to g8 so we get our fork. But black calmly moves to g7, and the fork never happens. The result? A drawn rook versus bishop endgame, which white cannot win with correct play. So, what else can we attempt to connect to the bishop? There's rook to b6, directly attacking, or rook to a6, planning rook to a8 if the knight is taken. But again, bishop to g3 check spoils everything. The key, elegant move here is rook to e6. Now you may be thinking, isn't this just like rook to c6? Black could still go bishop to g3, right? Correct, but this time, the rook is placed perfectly. We move our king to e2, and now black is forced to capture the knight. If they don't, we simply jump to g6, shielded by the rook, and win easily. So, black captures the knight. Then comes king to f3, attacking the bishop directly. At first glance, the bishop seems to have plenty of squares, but let's check carefully. e1 is covered by the rook, f2 by the king. If it goes to h2 or h4, rook to h6 follows with a double attack. On the big diagonal, f4 is controlled by our king, e5 and d6 are blocked by the rook. Heading to b8 fails too, because rook to e8 creates another fork. That leaves only c7, but even then rook to e8 check forces the king away, and once again we fork king and bishop, winning the piece. That's how the bishop is completely trapped on an open board. If you spotted this in advance, congratulations, you solved the puzzle. And that's where I'll wrap things up. Don't forget to subscribe to Chess with Devins and hit like if you enjoyed the video. See you next time, everyone.